How y'all doing? I'm back again with another reading from the Love and Respect Experience. It's the Nasty Pastor. Um, Hopefully you like, the content I'm presenting to the world, the truth, the honesty. Um, I'm presenting to the world about, my marriage leading to a divorce. Me making up my mind to ask for a divorce. But um, this reading we'll be getting into chapter 5, 6, and 7. And 5 a good one. 5 is one that before I got married, that's how I looked at things. But let me reflect on something right quick. I don't want the world, that go for you men and especially you women, think this a cry of plea, you know what I mean? I know my actions was wrong, you know. I stayed in my marriage a long time, beating myself up, saying I owe this woman a better life. I owe these kids a better life, And I've always, when we separated, I've always thought about the kids before I even thought about my wife. You know what I mean? I said, let me boogie on back there. If me and her could get our understanding, get our communication together, it'll be beautiful. But let me get on back there. Them kids, I need to be there. You know what I mean? I need to help bring more structure into the home. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that they were scared of me or anything, but they respected my words. They knew that, I'm not going to shut them up. The discipline not going to be hard because they really never did anything. The biggest thing I didn't like is the way they talk to their mom. Their mom has put up, by the time I've met them, and I met them when the baby boy was turning 3 and the oldest boy was turning 7. And when I met them, they nasty tone, nasty way of talking to their mom. But after I got to know her sacrifices for her kids and the things she have done, been through, the stuff she have took off me to make sure her kids are okay. You know what I mean? That's when I started, really being hard on the way they speak to her, talk to her. And since I could remember, still in elementary school, I've always explained to them, you know what I mean? It's not what you say, it's how you say it. And that just didn't go for my kids in my marriage, my son-in-laws. It went for my biologicals. You know what I mean? They, honestly, they way spoiled. You know what I mean? They way spoiled. You know what I mean? My patience level for kids, it takes a lot. It takes a lot for to make me snap. You know what I mean? One thing I always try to establish is honesty with these kids and the fact that they know I am an adult. Yeah, you could bring me down on your childish level, you know what I mean? But I'm an adult at the end of the day. And that's what all kids need to understand from adults, you know what I mean? I'm a child, you're an adult. It's a time and a place to joke, and it's a time and a place to be serious. And I just say this, you know what I mean? I love them little rugrats, man. Yeah, I love them. But let's get into chapter 5. Once again, it's the Love and Respect Experience by Dr. Emerson Eggerichs. Chapter 5 deals with a ratio. It's called the 80-20 ratio, the secret to appreciating your marriage. So what I used to do is, you know, you go through relationships, and you start seeing that your BS outweighs theirs. So it's time to, you know, work on you. It's time to take the negative out of you, grind that out of you, and make room for some positive actions. Make room for some actions that, you know, some characteristics about yourself that people can love. You know what I mean? And you know, I used to always say, well, I don't want to date a woman that smokes cigarettes. You know what I mean? And come to find out, most of the women that I met after that smoked cigarettes. You know what I'm saying? And it might was a flag, it might was a sign, it might was a light bulb going off saying, don't get intimate with this woman. Stay cool with her, but don't get intimate, because I learned that long ago too. All women you meet is not for you to be intimate with. Some of them you just keep as a good friend, you keep as an associate, you keep as a hello. You know what I mean? But this was something that when I read it also, I said, well, I understand this part. And it didn't do nothing but motivate me more to go through the book. You know what I mean? And I did a lot of skim reading through the book, because a lot of this in the book, you know, I was practicing. I was already, before I ever received the book, trying to figure how to make our marriage better. And I wasn't just doing it by myself. It was a time my wife was really, my wife at the time was really trying to get it back on track. You know what I mean? Get us back where we was at a happy place. You know, we having more good memories, more good times than bad times. But let's get into chapter 5. The 80-20 ratio, the secret to appreciating your marriage. 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 28. But those who marry will have trouble in this life. You got it? So expect it. Expect, you know, Billy Bob from the 5th grade won't come holler at your wife. Expect Nancy from high school pissed at your wife because she wanted the prom queen. You know, expect those things. Expect her sister. Expect her her little cousin or her older cousin, her uncle, you know, being jealous of you. You know, expect it. You know what I mean? And I'm not per se say they're jealous of the person. I think they're jealous of the happiness. You know what I mean? You see things going on in your siblings' life, in your family life, and you get to wonder, why not me? Why I can't have this in my life? What is wrong with me? You know what I mean? And it provokes jealous actions. You know what I mean? It really do. But let's get into it. In the book of Corinthians, Paul warns us of the responsibilities, involvements, and yes, the troubles that come with marriage. When I quote Corinthians 7:28 at our conferences, many in the audience chuckle, as if they understood perfectly what Paul is saying. Something else that is tied to this idea of trouble in marriage is what I call the 80-20 ratio. According to this concept, around 80% of the time your marriage can be categorized as good or even great, while around 20% of the time you may have troubles of one kind or another. I arbitrarily chose 20% to make my point. For some couples, it can be less or it can be more. It depends on many factors and can vary from week to week. Well, let me give you a 80-20 ratio with me and the ex-wife, you know, the wife at the time. You know, I love the fact I didn't have to cook and clean up. I love the fact we could talk. I love the fact, you know what I mean, that it was a time we both satisfied each other's sexual appetite. You know, I love the fact that she thought about me. I love the fact that she, you know, she was a good mom for the most part. You know what I mean? I love the fact that her emotions has no disguise. You will know how that woman feels about you. She's going to tell you or she's going to show you. And 9 times out of 10, showing is what you're going to see first. Now, the 20% of her that I didn't like is the fact she's easily influenced. Is the fact that sometimes she didn't know what she was talking about. I didn't like the fact that there's things that she used to go and ask her parents for that I had no idea of. You know what I mean? I didn't like the fact it was always this my stuff, my stuff, my stuff, my stuff. You know, there are certain conversations we had, she just couldn't understand it. And that's the stubbornness in her. So when I added up everything that I liked towards what I didn't like, I said, well, you know, it's not that bothering. It's not that much tormenting me right now. So if it was to change to 80% bad, 20% good, I'd have been gone. I wouldn't have never got on my knees and asked her to marry me. But the 20%, you know what I mean, I had to look at it. And it didn't outweigh the 80%. You know what I mean? The 80% really said, okay, that's a good woman for you. Stick in here. Get your mess together. Stick in here. You know what I mean? Let's move on. I cannot put a precise number on the amount of trouble you may have in your marriage, but what I do know is that God does not promise a fulfilling, trouble-free relationship 100% of the time. I heard one man say he and his wife had 28 happy years and they met and got married. Disagreements and misunderstandings happen. Stress comes from without and within. If we do not accept the inevitability of some troubles as part of God's design, that we will have moments when we feel unloved or disrespected. We may fall for the idea that a marriage should always be the perfect Hollywood romance. And then when troubles do come, we may conclude that we are not receiving what we deserve. If we expect 100% fulfillment, we will be ill prepared to deal with the moments when we feel unfulfilled, or worse. We will grow disconnected and resentful. And if we let these feelings dwell in our minds, it is not much of a jump to wondering if we made a mistake by marrying in the first place. See that part? The unfulfilled, feeling non-deserving. See, that was the part that I felt in our marriage, we supposed to afford more. You know what I'm saying? And we didn't. We didn't because there was a lot said. There was a lot done. It was a lot of good done. It was a lot of bad done. And, you know, people perception of you change. Her perception changed. My perception changed. It was some things weren't worth fighting no more. And when it was worth fighting, it wasn't worth fighting for the other person. So, you know what I mean? We was on one accord for years. For years, we was on one accord. You know what I mean? We may have did our arguing. Like I said, you know, it may have been times things got out of hand, but we was on one accord for the most part. You know what I mean? And when it got down to our last years of being together, we weren't on one accord. You know what I mean? I would say for a good 5 years, maybe lesser. We weren't on one accord. You know what I mean? And well, maybe longer. 5 years or longer, we wasn't on one accord. You know what I'm saying? And like I said in the chapter 2, chapter 3, and chapter 4 reading, you know, she was so far into what she was into, there was no pulling her from it. You know, it didn't matter if it was a train wreck. It didn't matter if it was a rainbow and she was sliding down to $1 million. There was no way I could pull her from it. There was nothing about me, you know, that could pull her from doing what she wanted to do. My point is simple. It is all too easy to focus on the 20%, the irritations and the annoyances, and forget that 80% of the time things go quite well or even better than that. That pesky 20% of trouble turns out to be the leaven that leavens the whole lump. That's in Galatians 5:9. My solution is also simple. Do not live by the standards of Hollywood. Trust what God says in His holy word. Treasure your marriage like a bottle of the kind of expensive perfume women might like for Christmas. And don't let a few imperfections be like the dead flies that can give perfume a bad smell. Ecclesiastes 10:1, God has given you a meaningful lover-friend relationship. Don't let the 20%, those times when one or both of you is tired, irritable, or just plain having a bad day or moment for whatever reason, sabotage your marriage. My 80-20 ratio idea is an aha moment for a lot of people. When filling out a conference feedback form, they mention how enlightening the 80-20 ratio was and add comments like, I realize I have a better marriage than I thought. Or maybe my expectations of a perfect marriage was unrealistic. Sarah agrees. She recalls that early in our marriage, she was concerned. Not because we had major conflicts, but because the normal daily stuff was getting to her. To put it biblically, the little foxes were spoiling our marital vineyard just as it was trying to bloom. See Song of Solomon 2:15. We continue to have our bumps and Sarah continued to express her bewilderment about these intentions. Then one day I said to her, Sarah, you want everything to be perfect, but paradise has been lost. Sin is in the world. 80% of what we experience can be wonderful. However, 20% will be troubling. If you don't grasp that you will poison the 80%, that's good. Sarah says my little speech changed her entire view of marriage. The 80-20 ratio helped her realize there is no perfect relationship. And this came as a huge freedom for her, just as it did for me. We still have our 20% of troubles, but we just stop and remember that the 80% is really the big picture, and the big picture is what really counts. You get it? Do you get it? See, like as I said, by the time I got this book, like I was already in these steps. It's 52 steps. I was already in them. I was already doing it. You know, as I said, we did pre-marriage counseling. We did counseling in the marriage. You know what I mean? So, and we did counseling in the marriage before we moved to Fredericksburg, and we moved to Fredericksburg in 2012. You got what I'm saying? And we had been together since July 2026, July 2006. So it was 2006 to 2019 when we got divorced. 13 years? Yeah, 13 years. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Yeah. 2006 to 2010, 4, 8, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 13 years. But, you know, I had to, you know what I mean? I had to think about it. And it kept me coming back. It kept me looking at, okay, for the most part, you know what I mean? We getting better on the arguing. I'm getting better on the physical. You know what I mean? It's messed up. I'm still going through this mental stuff. But for the most part, you know what I mean, we getting it together. You know what I mean? But it been a lot of hurt, you know, and I understand a lot about women. It ain't that they're vindictive. Some of this stuff they don't let go. Some of this stuff I don't let go. You know, I'm still looking for the little boy that took my lunch money in kindergarten. You know what I mean? But some of this stuff you don't let go. Some of this stuff you remember. You know what I'm saying? But let's get on into chapter 6. I'm gonna bypass the prayer. You know what I'm saying? What I will do though, I'm gonna start taking these prayers and I'm gonna write them down and I'm gonna post them in my stories. You know what I mean? For the love and respect experience. So make sure you like, share, comment. You know, go to the love and respect experience page on Facebook. Follow me. You know what I mean? Put a like up there. You know what I'm saying? Put some comments somewhere. Ask some questions if you're kind of not understanding your marriage or not understanding why I left my marriage. You know what I'm saying? Let's dialogue. Because it can help some of these young marriages. You know what I'm saying? Because some of these marriages are not worth starting, and some of them are not worth ending them. They're not. They still have some life in it. You know what I'm saying? And we tried. You know what I'm saying? One thing, I'm happy to walk away and we're able to speak to each other. You know what I'm saying? I know that we miss each other, but I'm glad we're able to be cordial. That's what I'm glad about. You know, I know some marriages, don't nobody want to see each other. Don't nobody want to speak to each other. Don't nobody have nothing nice to say about each other. And I'm going to make sure I always have something nice to say, because I know my part, my role I played in my marriage. I know my part, my role I played in our ending. So own up to you, own your mess. You got me? All right, chapter 6, mistakes happen, and then what? I guess this is Ecclesiastes 7:20. There is no one on earth who does what is right all the time and never makes a mistake. You got it? See, I live my life now according to the blueprint, and the blueprint is Jesus. You know, it's been since I've been born a bunch of BS. Jesus never real. Jesus is a way to control people. This and that. You know, I got into the walk of the man. I got into the word of the man. And getting into the walk in the word of the man helped me understand me. Helped me understand if I could walk this life, if I could talk this life, then I should have me a place in heaven. You know what I mean? But let's go and get into chapter 6. Chapter 6 started for Christmas. My daughter, Joy, gifted me with a whole season of Gunsmoke on DVDs. As a boy, I enjoyed watching Matt Dillon, United States Marshal, and his friends, Chester, Doc, and Kitty confront and defeat the bad guys in Dodge City, with every program also teaching a powerful moral principle. One evening, I appreciated an episode entitled Mistake. Matt Dillon misjudges a man, treats him unfairly, and challenges his honesty repeatedly. As facts surface, Matt realizes he is wrong and he apologizes to the man, but is still guilt-ridden concerning the whole sorry affair. Chester tries to console Matt, saying it was just a mistake and anybody can make a mistake. Yeah, Matt replies, just a mistake, but it was my mistake. And it was a bad one. I can't wish myself out of it with a few words. I understand how Matt felt, and maybe you do too. We feel horrible when we don't live up to our standards, which can happen often in marriage. To paraphrase King Solomon, author of Ecclesiastes, none of us does right all the time, and everybody makes mistakes. See Ecclesiastes 7:20. I fail to love Sarah perfectly. She fails to respect me perfectly. And neither of us can wish ourselves out of it. What to do? Matt's good friend Doc offers him and us encouragement when he says anybody can make a mistake, but is it a rare man who don't try to weasel out of it? Doc's grammar may be a bit lacking, but his wisdom is profound. All of us make mistakes, but instead of trying to find a sneaky weasel way out, we can choose to do the loving or respectful thing. There are no more powerful words in marriage than "I was wrong. Will you forgive me?" Those 7 words aren't a magic wand that turns mistakes into pixie dust, but they go a long way toward helping us gain wisdom, empathy, and new resolve to improve our practice of love and respect. I get that part. You know what I mean? You know, ask yourself, do you have a partner that will apologize? Do you have a partner that when they're in the wrong, they allow you to speak? You know, ask yourself these things. Ask yourself, how well you know your partner. You know, a lot of our tests that we directly put on our partners, it's wrong. It's wrong. You know what I mean? I get the fact no one wants to be hurt. I get the fact no one wants to be cheated on, lied to. I get all that, because that's me. You know what I mean? I don't want that done to me. You know what I mean? But I can't sit there and keep accusing you. I can't sit there and keep setting you up. You know what I mean? Keep testing you, because see, to sit there and keep tormenting a person about an ex or tormenting a person about an associate, eventually people get tired of hearing it and people go act on it. You know what I mean? And it's still not right. I'm not saying it's right, but look at what your test has started. Look at what you're trying to test this man or this woman with has started. And in the end, you're still feeling hurt, right? You're still in some type of pain, right? So what's the purpose of it? Believe what I tell you. What's meant for you to see, what's meant for you to hear. Whom you pray to gonna figure it out for you. Gonna figure it out. You might sit in a bad relationship for 2-3 seasons. And you know, I look at a season as a year. You know, and then I look at a season as me and my wife, we did a total of 13. Me and my ex-wife, we did a total of 13 years together. That's dating and that's married. 13 years. That was a season for me and her. You got what I'm saying? 13 years was a season for me and her. You know, but a season could be a year. Some people come in your life for a day. Some people come in your life for a month, a week, 6 months, a year, a decade, a lifetime. But whom you pray to will deliver you. Will deliver you out at all. Deliver you out at all. All right, chapter 7. What is love? Answer, couple. Ephesians 5:33 says, but each one of you must love his wife as he loves himself. Ain't that something? I'm going back into Only Faith Ministries, the Revelation spiritual reading, but I spoke of it then. You know what I mean? If you don't love yourself, how can you love anyone else? You got me? When my wife that was at the time was reaching back, trying to pick me up when I was going through my mental issues, when I was, the start of my mental issues, that was love. That was love. That's why I said that one thing I don't I never come out my mouth and say she ain't love me. I know she loved me. You know what I mean? That was love. You know what I'm saying? But but I didn't love myself enough to receive her love. You got me? I was sitting there feeling worthless. I wasn't looking at how valuable I am, what I brought to the table in this marriage. Everything I knew right then was over. Life was over for me. I couldn't think. I couldn't think for myself. I really couldn't do nothing. You know what I mean? It was terrible. It was terrible. You know what I'm saying? And she put up with it for years. For years she put up with it. But let's go and get into chapter 7. I received an email from Nathan and he asks, husbands are to love their wives. That's their special command. So what is love? Excellent question. There are all kinds of answers, many of them rather flowery, syrupy, and some very romantic. I wrote back to Nathan with what I believe are practical, down-to-earth biblical instructions on how a husband can spell love to his wife, providing 16 described in chapter 8 through 14 of my book, Love and Respect, by using the acronym COUPLE. The first letter, couple, closeness. You are seeking to be close, face to face, and not just when you want sex. Genesis 2:24. This is the idea behind cleaving. That's something we did. You know what I mean? We held hands in public. We laid in the bed, not just for sex, cuddling with each other. You know, she could be in the kitchen cooking. I'll come up behind her, give her a hug, give her a kiss. You know what I mean? Like I said, we showed each other we loved them. We showed each other affectionate. We showed each other that we're each other backbone. That's something we did. We didn't talk it. We showed it. We made sure our actions matched our words. You know what I mean? The next letter is O. Openness. You are trying to be more open with her, sharing more of your heart and definitely closing off in anger far less often. And that's in Galatians 3:19. I could say we was open too. You know what I mean? It's some things that I've shared with her that I haven't shared with a lot of people. You know what I mean? It's some things that I've done around her that I would never have done around anyone else. You know, I got very relaxed and comfortable in my marriage. You know what I mean? It got to a point that I could be just that open with her. You know, it's some things she have asked that I could, you know, I'll never give her the answer to. You know what I mean? That go to the grave. You know what I'm saying? But you know, that deals with communication. You know what I mean? Y'all have to be able to talk to each other. And that was one thing at one time we could do. You know, we could talk without lying to each other. We could talk without making up excuses. We could talk without, you know, without yelling and screaming over the other one. You know, giving each other time enough to verbally voice their opinion. You know what I mean? The next letter is U, understanding. You are pulling back from trying to fix her and are listening more, trying to be considerate when she really upset. That's in 1 Peter 3:7. Yeah, you have to be understanding in your marriage. You have to be able to listen, be able to process what is being said, so that you know you can how to put it, digest the issue. You know what I mean? Because sometimes some of these issues hard to digest to kill you, give you a heart attack. You know what I mean? The next letter is peacemaking. In order to resolve conflict and be united as a team, you are trying to use the words of power. Honey, I'm sorry. Will you forgive me? That's in Matthew 19:5. Yeah. I've had to, you know what I mean? I've had to apologize. I've had to get up and go get a thank you, you know, apology gift. You know what I mean? I've had to give you a prime story. You know what I mean? she took this was I was speaking on this last spiritual understanding reading that it was she was going with her cousin Vicky for a birthday down like the Eastern Shore area, and you know how things was presented to me and how things was done. You know, I told her, you know, when you get back, cause I was watching her kids. You know what I mean? When you get back, I'm gone. I'm done. You know what I mean? And you know, in that time frame, it had something to do with her going to the Spirit of North. And she wanted me to go, but I didn't. And we still was at odds with each other. But I ended up meeting another woman. You know what I mean? And honestly, I wasn't in the wrong, but I kind of felt wrong, cause I knew, you know, the woman I was messing with, you know, the woman that was my wife at the time, that was going to be my wife at the time. I knew she cared about me. You know what I mean? And I know sometimes that we get stuck into our opinion, and we have no understanding of what they're trying to base off as a fact. And I end up, you know, meeting this other woman, end up chilling with this other woman. But when she got back in from Norfolk, you know what I mean, I immediately, you know, made some reservations to this restaurant, and you know, took her to a nice restaurant. And you know, she did. She said, "What you done?" You know what I mean? Because you being extra nice and stuff, you know what I'm saying? And so I nothing. I just, you know, want to take you somewhere nice. I had a taste for Italian food. I know you like Italian food, so bam, bam, blah, blah, meet me here. You know what I mean? And we had a good time. We had a nice time, you know what I'm saying? But the next letter is L, loyalty. You are exerting effort to assure her of your love and your until death do us part commitment. And this is in Malachi 2:14. Yeah, you know, at first I could say we both was loyal to each other, but it got to the point all that stuff started chipping away. You know what I mean? The loyalty, the respect started chipping away. You know what I mean? And things started being not gonna say every day, but things started to, you know, you could feel tension. You know what I mean? You could feel tension in the air every day, you know. The next letter is E, esteem. You are viewing her as your equal before God and honoring and treasuring her as first in importance to you. That's in 1 Peter 3:7. Yeah, I get the esteem part, because it was a time I didn't honor her. It was a time that well, to give you an example, I've always told her that how things work in my life. It go whom I pray to, my kids, my wife, and everything else falls. Everything else falls in place after that. You got what I'm saying? And that's how I saw it. You know what I mean? Like now, you know, the way things are now, my kids are grown. So the way I see things now is whom I pray to, myself, my kids, and everybody else fall in place. But the couple acronym is the first half of the energizing cycle, which teaches that his love motivates her respect. Her respect motivates his love. See Appendix B, page 275. As Sarah and I receive feedback, we are fairly sure people get it about stopping the crazy cycle. But we wonder how well husbands and wives are using the ideas in the energizing cycle. To have a happy, biblical, solid marriage, you and your spouse need to do a lot more than just work on something, the crazy cycle. And that is where the energizing cycle comes in. When you keep the EC humming, the CC stays in its cage, and you function as the team God wants you to be. In this devotional, I am suggesting that you and your mate take a few moments to reflect on the love In your marriage, what kinds of loving acts and words are happening? Right here, one or both of you may conclude that I am putting all the pressure on the husband. These 6 things are, after all, what he is supposed to be doing to connect with his wife. But that's not what I have in mind at all. Using the couple acronym, I want you to look for positives and pluses, not negatives and minuses. For many of us, it is all too easy to see the cup half empty instead of looking for the acts and words that make it half full. And often more, as a wife, guard against only seeing what your husband is overlooking. Instead, appreciate his loving words and actions. As a husband, guard against feelings that you can never be good enough. Instead, receive encouragement from how you have been obeying God's command to act lovingly. Each one of you also must love his wife as he loves himself. Ephesians 5:33. What is love? It is not a noun but a verb. It is something a husband does in word and deed. One analogy is to picture the word love carved from a single block of beautiful oak or maple, bit by bit, day by day. Your marriage is like that block of wood. Love doesn't just happen. You have to work at it. And many husbands do. Remember, looking at the positive does not mean we are being naive about the negative. But if any team looks only at its losses and never at its victories, it will grow discouraged. Winners need to celebrate their victories as an incentive to taste even more. Rejoice. Got it? Got it? That's 4, 5, 6, and 7. If you're somebody viewing that that really kind of understand what's going on, you know, take these 6 words: closeness, openness, understanding, peacemaking, loyalty, esteem. If you could figure, do your marriage have this, and figure what your marriage don't have of these 6 words, that may be where you can start working. You know what I mean? That may be where. Like I said, you know, the 80-20 rule is something, and that's part of it. You got what I'm saying? That's part of it, because what it's telling you: closeness, openness, understanding, peacemaking, loyalty, esteem. I don't think a marriage can work without that. If you don't have these 6 jewels, I don't believe your marriage can be successful. If you say your marriage is successful, there's something you are hiding, or there's something that you and her has agreed to that us on the outside looking don't look right. But to y'all, it fits like a fine motor, you know, a fine-tuned motor. But we done enough. I thank y'all for the views. I thank y'all for the likes. I thank y'all for the shares, the comments. Once again, like, share, comment. You know, it only get better. You know what I mean? I'm just starting this off. And like I said, I got a lot of more reading to do, you know, but once again, this is a good book. I am the nasty pastor. I do love you. You got me. Build some strength in your life. Have some more patience in your life. Stop thinking the grass is greener when your grass was fit for you. Love your wife. You got me? Love yourself so you'll understand how to love your wife. You got me? I love y'all. I'm out.